Hello everyone, welcome to InfosecTrain. My name is Bharat and we do have our guest today, Mr. Prodipto from CompTIA India region. So, hi Prodipto, how are you?
Hi Bharat, doing very well. How about you?
I'm good, thank you so much. It's our honor to have you over here, Prodipto. So, guys, we are
It's a
over here
pleasure.
today. Thank you. Guys, we are over here today and we are going to talk about the latest thing which you all basically are hearing from CompTIA in the market, right? Last few days, we do have the totally new release of CompTIA CYSA Plus, that is CS0-003. So, I'll just basically introduce you all those who are basically new to the CYSA, what the CYSA is. So, CompTIA CYSA Plus stands for Cybersecurity Analyst Plus. It is one of the major certifications from CompTIA's learning path into the cybersecurity field. Like the person who starts with Security Plus has this particular CYSA as a next level to basically land a job into a defensive side. So the course basically is totally new in the market. A lot of people are actually talking about it. So we do have Pradipta over here who will tell us actually the insights of CompShare that what new changes are basically being enhanced into this CYSA 003. So over to you, Pradipta.
Hey Bharat, thanks a lot. And first of all, it's a pleasure to be a part of this journey with InfosecTrain. You have been a very long time partner with us, and it's really interesting to work with all of you. And I know that you are very focused around cybersecurity, and that's the reason you really respect the CompTIA programs and the certifications that we keep on launching on the market. When you talk about CYSA Plus, the new version CS0-003 was launched. It was announced a few months back, but it has seen the light of the day on 6th of June, just a couple of weeks back, where we have launched it publicly across the globe. And talking about CYSA Plus, as we all know, and as Bharat had just spoken, that it is a defensive security certification, but predominantly there are three key aspects to this new version, and I'll cover the new version later on. But overall, if you talk about CYSA Plus, it's all about detection, prevention, and response. It's basically for anybody within the cybersecurity industry who is responsible for these three actions, incident detection, incident prevention, and then of course response. So therefore this program is actually very relevant for any professional either working in the SOC side or the security operations center, or anybody who is looking at a career in the security operations center. As you know that Security Plus prepares people for the areas of security engineering. However, when it comes to monitoring, a lot of that work goes on in the SOC center. So therefore, this basically is meant for people who are getting into that area. So that's a very broad, generic definition of CYSA Plus, and we can obviously go ahead and talk about the enhancement. We can talk about what we have done new in this new version. But I hope that my response satisfied your
Absolutely,
first
yes.
question.
Absolutely, yes, Pradipto. So definitely that is a quite great insight. And as you said, prevention, detection, and response. And that's what we are basically in cybersecurity. We cannot prevent everything. So of course we have to go to plan B. And plan B is basically where our detection and response does comes into the play. And if CYS 003 is
Absolutely.
basically covering all these three of aspects, then it is, I believe, going to be one of the best things in the market available. So, what do you think, Pradipto?
Hopefully, yeah.
What do you think, Pradipto? What basically this new code CYS 003 is going to basically make the impact on the cybersecurity professionals? So, what do you think?
Well, before that, Bharat, can I talk about a little bit of more about the enhancement piece of it?
Absolutely,
In
yes.
terms of because let us first talk about what is new and then how it
Mm,
impacts the
absolutely,
security
yes.
professionals in terms of learning outcomes. So when we were, as you know, that CompTIA's process of exam development is very deep. We take a lot of time. We are not like, we just don't put together a few items and then launch it out in the market. We do a very thorough due diligence. We do a industry
Yes.
feedbacking, and that is how, an average time to market for any upgradation or a new certification is about 18 months or something. So when we are looking at the new version of CYSA plus, which is CS0-003, approximately 20% of the the 002 version, there has been an enhancement about 20% out there in the new version. And there were three basic areas where we saw a major change over the past 3 years. One is, we looked at the current trends in the cybersecurity industry. When you're looking at security analysis tools and enterprise security, you look at SIEM, and what we are seeing
Correct.
over and over again is that there is a lot of automation that is going on in the SIEM, such as SOAR. We all know the security orchestration and automated response. uh, then there are other tools such as EDR and XDR, the endpoint detection and response, and the extended detection and response tools. So those lot of changes that are happening around in the way monitoring happens. So that was one factor. The second factor was the expanded coverage of cloud and mobile and zero trust indicators. I think that becomes zero trust, as you know, is
Yes.
becoming more and more prevalent as a process within the cybersecurity industry. And therefore, and as you know, that zero trust is basically an amalgamation of a lot of technology and a thought process that goes in. So the whole idea is that any program that CompTIA launches should have that element or that thought process of zero trust. And the third is the way intelligence, threat intel is shifting, and more emphasis on threat hunting versus feeds. More difference between, what is the difference between threat hunting and threat intelligence. So all of that area. So those are the three broad spectrum that we observed, and therefore we made the changes within the new version. And those, so what we did is that we collapsed all of that in four domains. The first domains, obviously, security operations. And when you
Operations.
talk about security operations, we, as we all know that, and one of our research says that about 49% of the organizations across the world are implementing security monitoring as a key part of their deliverable. So that's one part. Also, if you look at the IBM's cost of breach report, it will say that there is just a potential breach of cost is about 1.5 million in a mature deployment state. So therefore, security operations become very, very important, which includes concepts of threat intelligence and threat hunting. So that's one part: how to identify and analyze malicious activity that is happening using appropriate tools and techniques. So that's one piece. So that was the first domain, which is the security operations. Second is the vulnerability management, which is to implement and analyze the vulnerability assessment, prioritize the vulnerabilities, recommend and how to mitigate those attacks, and so on and so forth. So that's the second major area that we made a difference. Third is, how do you better manage incidents? Incident response and management, I think that is very key,
Absolutely.
because we all know that incident response is a key function, and a lot of experts do say that incidents will keep on happening. You just cannot, it is very difficult to basically, of course, CYSA plus also talks about the preventive piece of it, as I opened the statement saying it's a lot of it is prevention and detection. But having said that, one needs to be always prepared for how to respond to an incident that is happening, how to learn out of it. So that's basically the domain three, which is an entire domain dedicated to incident response and management. And finally, when you look at any technical certifications, one of the challenges that I've seen in the market is that there are a lot of programs, but they lack on one aspect, which is how do you report, or how do you manage the compliances. So the last domain of CYSA plus, the new version, is all about reporting and communication. Security analysts are responsible for reporting and communicating their activities to the statistics, the numbers of incident, the type of threats, the attacks and vulnerabilities that are found, trends that they are encountering. So all of these reports, along with GRC part of it, the governance, risk and compliance part of it, that needs to be very clearly analyzed and reported to the decision makers, to the CISO and the CTO and the CXO level people. And so therefore, the fourth aspect, or the fourth domain of the new version, is basically a lot of reporting and communication. So we believe that out of these, between these four domains, we are basically teaching learners all about, right from the three key things: monitoring, prevention, detection, and incident response. I think those are the three key areas that are covered in these four domains.
Absolutely. And actually, that is the change which was need of the hour, right? So after COVID-19, you might have
Yeah.
seen that security monitoring is basically taken up a boom, right? Earlier, we were
Oh yes.
investing more in terms of detection and prevention controls, but monitoring is now equivalent
Yeah.
important part. Lots of people are
Absolutely.
basically investing in SOC. We have seen lots of openings actually there are in security operations center as compared to another information security roles as well. So it was actually the need of the hour
Exactly.
as well, where you as a market player, where you have to bring up those particular changes in terms of incident response, because that is 60 to 80% of your part of monitoring itself, where you need to respond to those critical
Exactly.
alerts which do come to your environment, right? So absolutely, this is something
Exactly.
which is quite important. And what I have changed, what I've seen the changes like from the previous five domains to these four domains, but shorter and more crisp they are. Absolutely, yes,
Yeah.
agreed.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
So
following on this
I
part,
think
yeah,
you're, yeah.
please go ahead.
Right. No, no, you're talking about the impact on the cybersecurity professional. I mean, what are the key learning outcomes? So I think that was your. I'm sorry, I jumped the gun because you asked this
Yes.
question first, but I had to really go down and talk a little bit about the domains. But go ahead if you have any questions.
Yeah, so with these enhancements itself, basically we have seen things are basically coming towards the cybersecurity professional these days are choosing the course and the learning which impact their day-to-day routine, day-to-day exercises. So how does CYSA 003 makes an impact on the cybersecurity professional and their day-to-day tasks in their organizations?
All right. So, Bharat, so what we try to do in all our communication is to make a very clear value proposition statement for somebody who wants to learn any of our programs, including the CYSA Plus, the new version of the certification. And what we have realized is that there are four key pillars of learning outcomes that will be impacted, positively impact the security, cybersecurity profession, specifically those who are planning a career in defensive security. Because I think if you and you rightly pointed out that there are so many jobs that are opening up within the SOC side, within the defensive security side. So the four key learning outcomes that come out of the new version is, first of all, security operations. And how can a candidate or a learner improve processes in security operations and differentiate between threat intelligence and threat hunting concepts? How do you identify and analyze malicious activity using the appropriate tools and technologies? So that is the first part, which is all about operations. Second is that how do you implement and analyze vulnerability assessments, prioritize vulnerability, make recommendations in mitigating those attacks, and how do you respond to those vulnerabilities? So all of that can be sort of clubbed into VM, or vulnerability management. So that area is the second learning outcome, major learning outcome. Once you have identified all of that, we talk about incident response and management, all the application of updated concepts and methodologies of attack framework, perform response activities, understand the whole life cycle of incident management. So that's the third part. And the fourth, as I also mentioned, is reporting and communication. So which is obviously that applies to all all levels of either security engineers or security analysts to basically learn how to, even in our pen test plus certification, and sorry for the digression, but it has a whole segment or a section around how do you
Definitely.
report back. So we are very, very careful about giving an end-to-end learning experience and an end-to-end job role mapped learning outcome for the learner. So to summarize, the four key pillars is security ops, vulnerability management, incident response and management, reporting and communication, including compliances. So those will be the key impact. And if you look at from a job standpoint, this very well fits into that requirement of SOC engineers. And growingly, we are seeing that organizations such as IBM and Accenture really, big time SOC service providers really, mentioning CYSA plus when they are talking about, hiring people or promoting people from the security engineering part to security analyst part. There's a difference between, and I think that a lot of
Absolutely.
people are, they lack that sort of nuanced understanding of what is security engineering and what is security analysis. So all of that, if you have that pathway of security plus and then go on to CYSA plus, you will understand that one part is obviously the security engineering when you put together all the components in place, and then the monitoring piece, which is basically a job role of analyst. In fact, very it's ironic that when you look at the key skills, if you look at the skill report that CompTIA comes up every year, you will see that in the modern day in the modern day cybersecurity field, one of the topmost skills that are required is that of data analysis. And it's really astonishing to see that respondents have come back and say that we want data analysis skills, which is basically when you're doing a lot of monitoring, you need to understand or have that inherent
Absolutely.
intelligence to understand the trend of the logs that are coming in, and that's where the CYSA plus stands apart. It teaches you that, or in many experts say that CYSA plus is actually a gives you a sort of a data analysis or big data approach to cybersecurity.
Absolutely, yes. Data is these days now one of the biggest things. We do have tools which can basically churn the big data, but the touch of human intelligence and the need of human intelligence in that
Exactly.
data analysis part, where we do learn how vulnerabilities works, how to basically prioritize our threats, how to look into those threats in a proactive and both
Exactly.
in a reactive way. So if we do have one thing in this particular course, absolutely that is quite good enough for us. And most of job roles which you will see in the market are related to these particular target areas as well. So that is quite good to see,
And
Apur, here that this is
yeah,
the major change CompShare has adopted.
and you're talking about proactive, and I missed that word earlier. I think that is crucial, Bharat, and you being
Indeed,
a
yes.
subject matter expert, you really picked on that. And I think proactiveness rather than reactiveness is something that is required. It's the need of the hour, and that's why all what we talk about in CYSA plus is proactive detection, prevention, and response. So of course, the response part becomes a little reactive, but I think the first two, which is the prevention and detection, can definitely inculcate that whole concept of proactiveness.
Indeed, yes. So that definitely that adds on to previous CYSA Plus also does have from more secure design point of view. But over here now we
Hmm.
are able to see that yes, what sort of core work an analyst would be basically taking in their job roles, they can learn to this particular course. And when I do talk
Exactly.
about learning, I'll come to my next question when I do talk about this learning part. So can you give us some hints that what will be the more effective way of exam preparation, or what sort of strategies one should adopt for the latest new exam of CYSA, that is CYSA 003? And with that, one more thing which I would like you to answer in the same part, that what will be the fate of those old vouchers? Let's say if someone has purchased CYSA 002 vouchers, or if there are any vouchers with someone, are they able to upgrade or change the vouchers to the latest examination or not?
So I'll answer your first question. Is that you're talking about the effective ways of preparation. First and foremost, I am of a very strong opinion that an instructor facilitated learning either on a flipped classroom model, or depending on what kind of learner maturity is there, instructor led training is definitely very, very important when it comes to these intermediate level programs, where trained instructors or certified instructors can come and give that value add and their experience in terms of what is really happening from a practical standpoint. So one area is the mentorship or the instructor facilitation that is required. So that is one point. I'm not saying that people cannot study on their own, but it is very important, especially to have a human interface, and that's, I think that's where InfosecTrain comes in picture. Second is the official CompTIA study material. And what we have done, obviously, just like all other certifications, we have the learning products, which is basically then ebook, and the Cert Master Learn, which is basically the core study material that is used to complete the learning journey. But more importantly, also the lab exercises, and we have this integrated product called Cert Master Learn and Lab, and I think those are extremely necessary for somebody to go through. In fact, I feel that lab should be a part of all learners journey, because that really prepares for two things. One is prepare for, this is a performance based question exam. So one is obviously preparing yourself for that performance based area, because those performance based questions are extremely crucial for somebody doing well in the actual certification exam. But also, more than that, it is also about being prepared for the job role, because those exercises that are there in the Cert Master Lab is actually derived from the real life environment that a SOC analyst or a security analyst, they will face in their day to day life. So therefore labs becomes very crucial. Uh, the um, uh, the learning piece becomes crucial, because the Cert Master Learn also has performance based question preparation. It has got simulated learning environment. Also, it has got a lot of enhanced features, such as uh, you know with is very interactive in terms of a learning platform, with a lot of gamification and all those stuff. So
Absolutely.
instructor led, followed by the official CompTIA curriculum, which includes the lab and the learning. So that official learning material, that becomes crucial part of it, and that would be the tip. There is a test prep product as well called Cert Master Practice. Some candidates might need a last mile connectivity towards between the training phase and the exam, when they appear for the exam, so that can be used as a preparation tool. Also, one thing that needs to be understood here is that all of these licenses, the learning licenses and the lab licenses, come with a 1 year validity. So even if you have done a finite number of hours with an instructor, you still have the licenses valid for 12 months. And what I also recommend is that don't jump into the certification right away, and that's something that I keep on telling everyone, that
Mm,
one way of looking at it is, you go through a training, depend entirely on the instructor, you do a x days of training, and then on the x+1 day you just jump into the exam. I strongly do not recommend that, because of the fact that you need to have some self learning time. And that's why we have
absolutely.
decided, we give that 12 months validity, so that people can keep on learning. And then once they're 100% confident, they've taken all the the assessments within the learning platform, then they can go ahead and take the certification exam. So for the second piece, what we usually do is that whenever we launch a new certification exam, there is a period of time, which is typically 6 months, that where both the exam versions are kept alive. So the 002 version will still be alive till December of 5th, 2023. So if somebody has the exam vouchers, they have a flexibility of taking 002 or 003 depending on their preparedness. The certificate does not come with a version written on it, and
Mhm.
therefore, from a pure certification standpoint or a certificate standpoint, they will still be CYSA plus till 5th of December of 2023. So they are free to take that
Okay.
exam, get CYSA plus certified. It's in any case a continuing education certificate. So and then they can do those CE pieces to basically go ahead and get their validation after 3 years. But till 5th, to answer your question, till 5th December, the vouchers can be used to deliver the exam both on the 002 version and the 003 versions.
Absolutely, and that was much clearing up over here, like for everyone who are having questions, because I have personally seen people coming to me that now 003 is launched. What should we do? Shall we buy a
Yeah.
new voucher, or what to do with those? So that pretty much answers all of their queries, and that was a quite insightful from you. And indeed, yes, like as you said, like the continuous learning or the effective learning, that's quite important. So, what are your takes on it? Like, what importance does the continuous learning makes of the career path of cybersecurity?
You know what I have seen in the industry is that people take, especially in this part of the world, people take certification as a one stop thing, that, oh, I am certified, and oh, I have reached this status, I've done here, I've been there. There are some people who do go for multiple certifications and a career path, which ideally should be the situation. So one of the things that I would like to say is that a certification is not an end to your learning. So that's point number one. So what we have done is that we have, obviously, as you know, that we have the continuing education program. So there are few ways that you can, upgrade your learning to, because after 3 years, when we retire the 003 version, just like
Correct.
what we are doing to
Mm,
002 version now, so this period also will have changes in technology, right? I mean, uh, technology will keep changing, and we'll have to make changes in our learning area as well. So therefore, the dynamics of the technology will require, and especially with cybersecurity, with so much of new vulnerabilities coming up, there are so much of new threats that are coming up every day. There is something new that is coming up in terms of tools, in terms of solutions, and so on. So the continuing education program of CompTIA lets you to prove your IT knowledge and keep yourself updated. So there are a few ways. One is that you can earn a higher level of CompTIA certification. So even if you, for example, has taken a CSA 0002 by December, 5th of December, you can still take a higher certification to get your CYSA plus updated. For example, you take a CASP plus certification. You can also earn non CompTIA IT certifications as well. A list of that is provided. I'll not go into the depth
absolutely,
of it
yes.
because it's all self-explanatory when you go to our
Mm,
website. You can complete some training, some higher education, participation in industry activities, the webinars that we organize. You can, sort of publish a relevant article, a white paper, and keep that journey of learning on. It's not only about this. So one part is obviously that I have a goal that if I am certified today, after 3 years I'll still remain certified on that program. So that's a very tangible goal, that's a very justifiable, tangible goal.
indeed, yes.
But the the what you say, the outcome of this is also that you are on a path of continuous learning, which, in a lot of cases, which people do not give so much of value to. So especially in emerging technologies, it is a, a huge necessity, is a mandate to basically participate in all those industry events. And that obviously will lead from a CompTIA standpoint, it will lead to earning of the continuing education units, which are required for upgrading your certification after 3 years.
Absolutely. And to add to that point, actually, me being into this training industry and being an instructor or a mentor for a long period of time, so continuous learning is something which is quite important even for
Yeah.
us, like to basically get ourselves updated, to train the people, to let them know what are the latest changes. And cybersecurity itself, it's a field basically which quite, I would say, fragile in terms of uniqueness, right? In terms of new changes, so it's quite
Yeah,
fragile in that particular part. Every day, like attackers are getting sophisticated, attacks are getting
absolutely.
sophisticated. So we have to pace ourselves up in terms of learning that what new is there in the market, what we can basically get ourselves upgraded with to
Yeah,
enhance our skills. And absolutely, that is one of the
absolutely, Bharat.
important parts.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was all up over here for the CYSA and CYSA 003 up over here with you, Pradipto. Thank you so much for having us up over here. Indeed, I will ask one more question to you, that what next after CYSA 003? What CompTIA is planning to bring on to their platform? What next after 003?
Few things that first of all, as you know that we've made an acquisition earlier this year, uh, which is an organization called Test Out, which is very strong in the US markets, and they have a whole simulated platform on which. So we are working a lot on how do we simplify the learning content. So that is one part. It's work in progress right now. From we are our CEO has also got a vision of basically right now when you look at our certifications here, they are meant for a group of people who are like working professional who are trying to get into the IT. But what we are also designing right now is something which is minus and plus. So minus in the sense that how do we get new talent getting interested towards the field of IT career, which means that we are looking at maybe 15 years old or 18 years old. So that's the minus piece of it, where we are trying to build up a pool of people who get into technology. So that's one, that's pre our certifications. Also we are working out, because we also feel that eventually once you do all of these certification, there are some very niche skills that you would want to have, which cannot be covered in a whole certification. So there needs to be learning nuggets which will be there for those specializations. So what I mean to say is that right now we are covering a certain set of target audience with our 15, 16 certifications that we have, but we want to expand, if not necessarily with certifications, either before that or after that target audience. It might be through assessments, through learning products and so on. So that's one point of it. From a domain standpoint, I think we'll obviously work on the security plus upgradation, the 601 to 701. Also, the big thing within CompTIA right now is the data infrastructure. Data knowledge is required for all fields of technology or non-technical people as well. So we already have the data plus certification. We've just launched the data systems certification. And then of course, in the next 12, not 12 months, maybe, yeah, on the outside about 12 months, to launch the full stack data science certification. So those are some of the priorities that we have as of now. One is obviously a longer term, working on a more strategic, get people into IT, and those who are IT, get them to a higher level of specialization. That's one piece of it. Integration of the content of Test Out and CompTIA is the second piece of it. And the third is the data side of it. So the data infrastructure is something that we're working on with.
Absolutely. So that's great to know that these things are basically being planned by CompTIA. Even we at InfosecTrain we are also thriving with lots of new changes to bring upon, as you said, like juniors, right? So we are also having one of our awareness programs for
Hmm.
juniors to basically bring on up or here. So that's good to the
Yeah,
community that CompTIA is also adding to that part. And
absolutely.
by this, I'll just conclude this particular part. Thank you so much, Pradipto, for having us up or here. Signing off, Bharat Mota
It's a
from
pleasure.
InfosecTrain. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bharat. It's a pleasure to be with InfoSec Train. Thank you.